Alright, what is up everybody? Mr. Porkchop back here with some more JavaFX videos. So this will be the last video, thank God. This is the fourth video in my series for this project, inventory project, whatever you want to call it. So I have a lot to cover in this video. I'm going to do my best to actually make sure that I hit all the different methods that I created while getting this to work. If you haven't watched the previous three videos, don't worry about it. I mean, it depends on what you want to see. This is going to cover one of the most difficult parts of this program, which is passing information between controllers. And I actually had my instructor help me a lot with when I did it the first time. So doing it again, I reread all the code very carefully and tried to understand it the best I can, and I will do my best to explain it to you guys. It might not be the best explanation because some of it's still a little kind of confusing to me, but I'll do my best when we get there. And again, I just kind of say sorry for the naming conventions of these videos. They don't really the naming scheme doesn't always line up. But I named this video particularly the way that I did just because I want people to be able to find this passing data from one controller to another information. It was very difficult for me to kind of figure out, or like I said, I couldn't really figure it out. I had my instructor figure it out with me, but anyway, that's the reason for the kind of different naming. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to run the program, show you guys the additions, and then we'll get into the code that actually made those additions possible. So with the last video, I had my customer menu here, and I was able to create a customer. I think I ended up just saying like Toyota or something, and I added car, and I don't know, let's add TV too. So I was able to do this, add it, save it, and then when I went back to my customer menu, it comes up over here in my current customers. So that's where we kind of left off with the last video. In the last video, I was talking about trying to get this modify functionality and this remove functionality all to be implemented inside this one scene. That I couldn't, once I sat down to actually write the code, it didn't really seem possible to me, so I ended up creating an entirely new modify customer scene, but it's very similar. As you can see, if I click on this and I go to modify, it brings me to almost the same exact scene, except I just removed that current customer down here, and I changed the title obviously from add customer to modify customer, and then you can see it populates this name field here with the name of the current customer that I selected, and the ID is also put there. And I'll get into the code that kind of makes that possible and show you. The other thing that it does is it takes the associated products from that customer and it puts them in this bottom table down here. And then from here, you can add additional products to this customer. You can change the name of the customer. You can remove products. And one of the things that's cool that I will show you, again, for when I wrote this project originally without this addition of the customers, they had me, well, they kind of notified me ahead of time, my instructors did, that when you fill this table, you don't want it linked directly to the associated parts of this product. Or in this case, it's the customer, but you don't want it the associated products of this customer to be linked directly to this table, because let's say I did what I just did. I removed a product from this bottom table, right? And if that was linked directly to the associated products of that customer, then it's gone already. So then if I hit cancel, it's already gone, and if I go back to my menu and I click on this and I go to modify, it would not be there. But as you can see, both products are still there, so it didn't actually remove it until I hit save. And I will go over how that's done as well so that you guys can see that. Other than that, I don't think there's a whole lot more to show you in the program. So let's get on to the actual code, and I will show you what we got going on. So where to start? As you can see down here, my fxml document, I have mod customer menu now. That wasn't there before. Again, it was just made in scene builder, and I essentially just took a copy of my add customer menu and removed that bottom table, and then just changed up the naming of the different items inside of it. Along with that, I had to create another controller, so I have my mod customer controller here. So that's what I'm looking at right now. I guess I can go through this first. There were, like I said, even creating these new controllers and FXML documents, I had to add other methods. I think inside my inventory and maybe even my add customer controller. But like I said, I have a little bit of a list here that I'm going to try to go through. So bear with me here. It might be a little back and forth just so I don't forget anything. But I have my mod customer controller here. This controls that new scene that I created. Objects here at the top. So I have my stage object, my parent object, and this is kind of standard with a lot of my classes and a lot of my controllers, that I just end up using this stage and scene object in some of my methods down here. The other thing is this customer object here. So going on from that, we have pretty much the same standard tables and column fields. I'm not really going to go over too much of that. And then down here below all of my my FXML methods here, I have a couple other objects that I created. So I create another customer object here called the customer. So up here I have my customer, which is a customer object, and then down here I have a private static customer object. And right now I just initialize it to null, so it's not set to anything right away. And I have another private static observable list of products, my products. And all this is going to be used inside of my my pass customer information. So this is the method here that's going to do all the magic of passing my information from that add customer menu to my modify customer menu. And I'll do my best to kind of go through exactly how that is done. Yeah. So going over this, I have a public void method called pass customer, and it's going to basically, the parameter that it's going to take is a customer object, and I just called that the selected customer. This is going to be the customer that is selected in that add customer menu. So you'll see my view of customer table, you'll select the customer you want to modify. That's the parameter that's going here. Below that I have the customer, which again, remember I made right here, which is my private static customer, set to null for now, and I end up initializing that to my selected customer. So whatever parameter, whatever customer is selected in here as a parameter, this customer basically becomes that. And then right below that I have my my product list, which again is a static observable list, private static observable list here. It gets initialized to the customer.getAssociated products. So I have my customer here, and I have that. I get all that stuff, and then from there I go to setting my my ID and my name. So those text fields that you saw in my modify scene, like I showed you, they had the actual name and the ID of the customer that we selected, and that's basically what's setting that. So I mean, after you have your private members initialized to whatever that was selected, and you get the associated products from them, then you just you can use the methods inside of the customer class to get the ID and the associated products and the name from that. You can set your text, and then right here you can set the bottom table to my product list. So that is how that is all done. And then at the bottom here, right after that, I have a little while loop again that just basically, this is going to add all the associated products to my customer. So you remember, I don't, and I guess maybe the naming conventions of these might be a little confusing to some people, but my customer, remember, was the one at the top here, the one that I already have initialized to a new customer with an ID of 1000 and Toyota, whatever. And then right here I have my my the customer, which is the static one, set to the one that is selected. So basically what this is going to do is, calling this method, I have the customer, which is the selected one in the table, and it already has products associated with it. But those products are going to show up in my bottom table, and that's all fine. But the my customer over here, I'm going to be using this when I click save. So when I click save, this customer's associated products are going to be what is saved, or what is kind of copied and saved into our modified customer. So in order to make sure I don't miss anything, I need to add the associated products that are already associated with this customer to my customer, which is already here. So that's what this while loop does. It kind of just takes the products that are already there and then adds them to my customer. That way nothing gets missed. All right. Yeah, so let me see if I can make that a little more clear. All right, so I'll make my customer, oops, add car, laser, save. So when I go into modify, right, what it does is it's adding these products to this bottom table. However, my customer, if I didn't have this while loop here, my customer wouldn't have either of these. So if the only change I did was to like add a TV, so let's say I added TV, if I didn't have this while loop here and I saved it, all it's going to do is it's going to erase these two and it's going to add TV. So to make sure that these don't get left out, that's why I have this here in order to add it. Hopefully that's a little more of a visual of what's happening. So moving on past that, I'll show you kind of how we do this. Pass customer method is going to be used in my add customer menu. So we're going to jump over to add customer menu real quick, and then this is our on action mod customer method. Basically the method that's going to tell us what happens when we click that modify button. And for this, bear with me as I try to explain this, because my like I said, my instructor helped me a lot with this. But essentially, instead of using like we do, see if I can find it, like right here, so like instead of using this setup here, which is what we do in the majority of this program to jump back to like the main menu or jump from one menu to the other, we just have a stage, and this basically tells us like what is going to make that stage change. We have a button, and then we have our scene, which is just basically calling an fxml loader, load, get class, get resource, and it shows us what we want to load. And then we have the set scene, and over here we have new scene, and then just calls scene, and then it says stage show. It changes a little bit when we're doing this passing information. So when we do this, we create a whole new fxml loader basically. We call it loader, which, I mean, I guess that could be kind of confusing, but anyway, bear with me. We create a new fxml loader called loader, and then we just set it equal to new fxml loader. Alright, so once we have that object, then we're going to use some methods in it. So we have our loader.setLocation, get class, get resource, and this is the where you want to put your fxml scene that you want it to go to. After that, then you're going to use this parent object. You're going to create a new parent. You can call it whatever you want, but I just called mine mod customer scene. And then you set it equal to loader.load. Again, loader is the object you created up here, and we're just going to call basically load. And then after that, you have a new scene object. Yeah, we just called it scene. And then you do new scene, and then you basically put in that parent that you just created up top. So that's going to be your new scene. And then after that, you can use this. Okay, yeah, okay. So then this is where it gets tricky. So after you set up your parent, your scene, your loader, after that, you're going to create kind of like a class object, which is really strange to me. But you have your mod customer controller. That's my class, right? And you create a new one. I just called it pass. And then that's going to be equal to loader.getController. So it's almost like you're creating like a whole new mod customer controller class just for this instance. And then after that, you can use pass. You can use the method inside of these mod customer controllers, which we made that method earlier, which was pass customer. So you have your new kind of controller class here, and you're using the method pass customer. And what you want to put as a parameter is the customer that is selected inside of this controller, inside that customer view table. So you have customer view table dot get selected model got selected item. That's going to be your customer that is selected. And then after that, the stage basically looks pretty much the same. You have stage equal to stage button event dot get source get scene get window blah blah blah. This changes up a little bit because instead of when you go to set scene, you don't do new scene. You're actually just calling the scene that you have up here, which is going to be that mod customer scene. So that's what kind of differs over here. You can see where it says stage.setScene. You just create a new scene called scene. We're not doing that down here. We're actually calling the scene that we have specified above, and then just stage show. Alright, so that's basically everything. That's kind of how you're going to set up this method. That's how you're going to call this method of pass customer, and that's how you're going to add your selected customer object to that as a parameter. I hope that was a good explanation. Either way, you have the code here, and if you can read through it and kind of understand it better, that's great. So after that, let's see what else we need to go over. That pretty much covers switching between the scene and passing the information. I did end up doing this method here on action remove customer, so the remove button wasn't functional before. That's a very simple piece of code. I had to create this delete customer method inside my inventory class. I didn't have it, but it's a very simple method. It basically just is a public static boolean method, delete customer, and then I have the parameter is a customer object, obviously, and it just returns the updated basically inventory. So it says inventory get all customers dot remove the customer that you have selected. That's how that's done. Again, you can put in additional code to make errors pop up if nothing is selected. I haven't done that. That's probably something that if you're doing a project similar to this for school that they're going to want, but that's easy enough to figure out. Okay, and then my save customer. So it does change in respect to this, or adding your customer to inventory, because your customer already exists in inventory in the modification one. So over here you could say, you can see in my add customer save, I just have inventory.add customer, new customer. That's really simple. For this one, it changes up a bit. So this is the method that I created in my inventory class to update my customer. So yeah, let's jump over to this update customer method in my inventory, and I'll show you that. So update customer, here we go. My update customer is going to take in two parameters. One is going to be an integer that is the index of whatever that customer, wherever that customer is currently in my inventory. And then after that, it's going to be the customer that is selected. And then it's just a public static void method. It's not going to return anything. It has all customers dot set index selected customer. So we're just going to set whatever index this is at to the selected customer. So we'll go back here, and basically what that means is our index is going to be the index of our customer. So the customer, remember, in our pass method over here, the customer is whichever one is selected. So it's going to see that selected customer, it's going to look it up in inventory, and then it's going to put the index of that customer here as our first parameter. And then after that, we have our customer object that's going to replace it, which is our created customer. And if our created customer was something new that we created inside of this save method, which is just a new customer with the ID that is in our box and the name that's in our box, and then all of the associated products of the bottom table. So we create a whole new customer object basically that's going to be saved. So it takes that as the second parameter. I think that's pretty much it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. This will be the last video for a little bit, probably for me. Starting some new classes at the end of the month. Going to be doing a data structure and algorithms class, which is going to be using Python. So I might do a video in Python in the future. And then after that, will be my Software 2 class, which is more Java, advanced Java concepts. So there'll be more Java videos coming out for sure. But for now, I think that is it for this series and it for me for a little bit. If you guys like this though, subscribe, give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you guys have any other thoughts or ideas on code that you want to see. Let me know what you think about this project. And if anybody out there is coding or using GitHub and you got some projects that you want help working on, let me know. I'd like to kind of get into the coding community and kind of start doing projects with some other people and kind of collaborate a little bit. So that's it for today. Hope you guys liked it. I'll see y'all another day.